Hey, what's really good, my peoples? Um, just wanted to talk about the Teddy Riley and Babyface battle for a little bit. I watched it. It was fun to watch it with my lady. Shout out to my lady. But she had a great time. It was good. She's singing a cappella and shit like that. and it's for the ladies, and that's cool. R&B is not really my cup of tea. My lady and I argue about this every now and then, and yeah, it's just not for me, man. I'm a hip hop dude. R&B is just too slow and boring for me, for the most part. Of course, R&B is a massive umbrella, though. So there's a lot of R&B I like, but there's also a lot of R&B I really don't like. I'm not a Boys to Men fan. I never gave a fuck about their music like that. Yeah, anything that was like very sort of that like almost baby facey type of like R&B that was like slow and shit. I just couldn't get into it. The ballads, again, every now and then there's a decent ballad that I liked. You know what I'm saying? But I found that the people that did the good ballads to me were like Janet, and my lady thinks Janet can't sing for shit, but that's okay. Mariah Carey, she did some decent ballads and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. R&B is not my cup of tea like that, man. I'm a hip hop baby. It's just it's too soft for me, and it's too emotional for me. It's not that I don't like emotion, but I think I relate more to anger and sort of like mischief and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that, like, uh, I don't know how to describe it, but also that, like, the bravado and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And even when I listen to R&B, I like singers that bring that. Like, they have a little bit of that bravado, like, yo, you can't fuck with me type of thing going on with their singing. There's a little bit of an edge there. You know what I'm saying? So, which is why Teddy Riley to me washed Babyface. Like, I knew about, let's say, a third or close to half of the songs that Teddy Riley was playing, and I knew like none of the songs that Babyface was playing, and like almost none of them did I give a fuck about. Can We Talk is classic though. That I've heard before. I grew up on that record. My mom used to play the shit out of that. You know what I mean? My mom used to also play Tony Braxton records, but I don't remember most of them. There's a couple of them I remember, like Breathe Again. My mom used to love. Um, and I don't know if he played that, but it's not really my cup of tea. So I was much more into Teddy's shit. Teddy is more of a hip hop baby. I mean, this is a New Yorker. Like, he produced the show, which is one of the greatest rap records ever. And Teddy Riley has always made hot shit. Like, it's interesting. When I first heard the name Teddy Riley was with Blackstreet. And in hindsight, you don't realize that this is like 96, 97. Teddy Riley was in the business 15 years prior to that, which is wild. Here I was like, oh, this new guy, Teddy Riley, whatever. Talent, man. Talent. And he like mentored Pharrell and shit like that. Come on. Like, Teddy Riley is in a whole different class to me. And again, no disrespect to Babyface as I say this. Babyface is a legend and he's done his thing. It's just not for me. You know what I mean? So R&B in general, not my cup of tea. But R&B is also a really giant umbrella, and I find that like I said, there's a lot of R&B I do like. I like soul more. I mean, do you consider R&B like James Brown? I guess. Teddy Pendergrass, some of his shit is really good. Wake Up Everybody's my shit. Is that R&B? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I'm more of a soul funk guy than a like straight up sort of traditional R&B dude. You know what I mean? So, especially of that like era in the 80s with the New Jack Swing and shit, like it's not really my thing. So, but people loved it and tuned out for it. I'm not surprised that the viewership was higher than the Primo and RZA battle, but of course it would be. R&B has typically always been more popular among black folk than hip hop. Typically. I mean, if you just look at how this shit went, I remember when R&B was the biggest thing ever. It's kind of interesting how hip hop took over that. And that wasn't until like, I would argue, like the mid 90s or even the late 90s, actually, because I think the late 90s was the first time that hip hop outsold the other genres, right? Like, it was like 98 or something like that when that happened. So R&B has always been really popular. It's like the pop kind of thing. Like, Whitney Houston on the Bodyguard soundtrack would be selling fucking like 30 million CDs. You know what I mean? Like, no rapper was selling that shit. You know what I mean? You had to be like Dr. Dre and sell like 3 million copies, and that was like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like hip hop has never really been that popular, even among black folk. So it's the rebellious kid, and that's what I loved about it. It was the the kid that did his own thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't that like, oh, let's all come together and like not, you know, let's all come together and not make anything threatening or whatever. Like hip hop was like, fuck all that. Like I got shit to say. Like this is my style. This is my swagger. So I always liked hip hop more. But I do think it's good to kind of listen to some R&B because at the end of the day, we do borrow from R&B, especially the Teddy Pendergrasses and Diane Rosses and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like all the stuff from the '70s that's like R&B, we totally borrow from that stuff. So it's kind of good to to listen to that stuff. But hip hop is its own thing. It really is. And that's why the whole nature of a battle, again, that's a hip hop thing, really, at its core. Hip hop, I like R&B people don't really battle like that. But anyway, entertaining nonetheless. Now, French and Kendrick. I saw this little thing on Twitter. Someone told me about it. They were like, "Oh, French and Kendrick, something came up with them," or French was saying that he has more hits than Kendrick. Yeah, yeah, of course he does. Again, this is not surprising to anybody that's really, investing in his hip hop shit like that. As I've told you before, Kendrick Lamar is trash. He's grade A garbo. A lot of times, cats like Kendrick, as the years go on, his music will become less and less relevant. Whereas French, yeah, French isn't exactly somebody that you'd be like, yo, I'm going to be analyzing his rhymes 10 years from now. But I can guarantee you the off the rip is going to sound better than Kendrick shit. It's going to age better. Because Kendrick's music ages like fucking milk. It expires like that. You hear it, it's gone. You can't listen to that shit anymore. So, yeah, French got hits. And French is going to murder that dude if they were ever to do a battle. But Kendrick would never actually battle, Future. Or I'm so sorry. He'd never actually battle French. He just doesn't want them problems. Because stuff like that exposes just how mediocre his catalog is. As I've told you, Kendrick is not even top 10 of this era. So, I said top 5. He's not even top 10 of this era that we're in right now in terms of people that have made great, endearing, sort of like music that will sort of last. In the last 10 years, Kendrick isn't even in the top 10. And that's kind of pathetic. So, for someone that got all that buzz, he's not even top 10. He's definitely not top 5. I can tell you that much. And if he was to really go out and be like, all right, let me battle you. Let me put up like my 10 best songs versus your 10 best songs. He'll get murdered, man. He'll get murdered by Future. He'll get murdered by French. Of course, we're not even going to talk about Drake or ASAP Rocky or Playboy Cardi or Lil B or 21 Savage. We're not even going to mention those 5 because those 5 will destroy Kendrick so fast. You'd be surprised if Kendrick and Mac Miller battled. Mac Miller might have more shit than Kendrick Lamar. Actually, Mac Miller does anyway. And that's what I'm telling you, man. This hype shit, I don't believe in hype. I believe in what is your music actually, what is it? Like, what are you putting out that's hot? Is it hot or not? I don't care if Dr. Dre likes it, if Jimmy Iovine likes it. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, they're supposed to go to the bat for you. That's their job. Their job is to sell records for you. You know what I'm saying? Their job is to, come to you and try to convince you that everyone likes their music. Like, you know what I'm saying? So of course they're gonna be like, oh yeah, like Kendrick's the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're supposed to say that. You know what I'm saying? Just like I as a listener supposed to be discerning and be like, nah, that doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Why is this guy's voice so garbage? And why are these beats not really hitting? And why are these rhymes so whack? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, off the rip, Lockjaw by French Montana are better than any Kendrick song I've ever heard. I'm sorry. If I was to go to bat for Kendrick, as a Kendrick hater, maybe some of y'all call me, I'd say that the best Kendrick songs I've ever heard, I'd put The Recipe up there. I think he absolutely would have to play that, and people go, oh yeah. I don't really remember the song, but it's actually not shit. What else did I put by Kendrick? Fuck. Poor Man's Dreams? But that's some slow shit, man. High power. I'd put high power. Yeah, high power. The recipe and maybe money trees. Maybe I don't know. It's a tough one, man. Like none of those joints you plays off the rip. It's fucking over. So off the rip, lockjaw. Tell them things. Hold up. French Montana record, which I also quite like. So and pop that, obviously, pop that. Still rings off, right? I mean, it's not. It's within its era, but my point is, pop that just feels better than any Kendrick song I can think of. So yeah, French would murder Kendrick, man. I think it'd be a sad sight to see, but it would be a real one. And that's the thing with these battles. You can tell who want it and who don't want that smoke. Because these battles expose catalog very quickly. A lot of the shit that I'm telling you, very quickly you can see the moment you have a battle. You'll be like, oh, this record doesn't actually sound as hot as I say it does. Because the energy is just not there. Just like Havoc would murder Alchemist. I could tell you that all rip. Havoc is a top 10, arguably top 5 hip hop producer ever. Alchemist, I don't even know if Alchemist is top 20. So actually, Alchemist is probably not top 20. Alchemist he's up there. He's like somewhere in the top 50, maybe, but he's not top 20. And it would look dumb if they actually went on some real catalog battle shit. All Have has to do is play the Infamous, just play like this, boom, and he'll destroy Alchemist. Not to talk about Hell on Earth. All he has to do is press play on that shit, destroy anything Alchemist is coming with. So again, you guys can say Alchemist top 5. He's one of the best to ever do it. But the moment you get him in the room with someone that is actually better than him, and there are lots of producers out here that are better than him, Alk shit is going to start looking mad weak, and it's going to expose him. Anyway, y'all have a good one.